Harry's MEAC superlatives. What you got?
I'm going with Howard. I started at the top. I'm going with Howard as the champions of the MEAC. I think Howard and what they return. They have the offensive and defensive player of the year preseason on their teams. I just think what they return, you have to look at them. And then the way that they went and beat North Carolina Central, the payback, as we call it, the big payback. Y'all listen to James Brown. That's what that was. And then they ultimately went on to the Celebration Bowl and contended really hard against Florida. And for me, I just think you can't overlook Howard. And because of that, I overlooked them last year. You was telling me the first 5 weeks of the season, hey, man, Howard is a team that I don't think people are giving much respect to. I'm giving respect to Howard this year.
That's crazy.
Hey, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, Howard is the man, and that's why I have, as well as you move on, Jared Hunter, running back, as the player of the year. I think he's going to be the workhorse for that offense. I think he's going to be the guy that they're going to rely heavily on, as well as Eden James. But at the end of the day, you're going to have Jared Hunter, who I perceive as they've already had the preseason player of the year in the MEAC. I'm going to roll with that, and I'm going to say Jared Hunter. And then the coach of the year. Of course, we've seen how this go. When you win the championship and you win it all, you get the Coach of the Year awards. And so I think Larry Scott and what he's building at Howard cannot be ignored. And what he did last year against a North Carolina Central team who was number one in my preseason ranking pretty much all the way until they lost to Howard tells me all I need to know, that that team is going to come back and they're going to compete hard. Disappointing team. This is going to turn some heads, and Trey Oliver may just speak out on this. But I'm going to say a disappointing team this year is going to be North Carolina Central. I think they're going to have to rebuild around of what they had. Last year, what was it? It was offense, and they lost their two offensive keys in Davis Richards at quarterback, and they lost their running back. That is a lot to have to replace, because that was their workhorses in which they scored a lot of points and were able to put themselves in position to be successful. I think it's going to be, and look, ain't nothing wrong with coming back the next year and having to develop guys to be your next stars for your program. I just think as high as everybody has been on them, I just don't think this year is going to be the year that everybody can just sit back and ride with them, if that makes sense. So I just think maybe 2 losses in conference play is disappointing for them, considering what they've been in the past. A surprise team is going to be Coach Chennis Berry, in my opinion, in South Carolina State. He takes over for Coach Buddy Pugh. South Carolina State, did you see the all-MEAC selection? Did you see their O-line?
Yeah.
So, I mean, guys, and we all know Chennis Berry's special
run the ball.
Is run the ball. And when you got guys on your offensive line that can make the all-MEAC selection, for me, that puts them in a position to be successful. And I think they will surprise a lot of teams just off of playing old school football. And that's just running it up the gut and being able to get victories, whether it's pretty or it's ugly. It's going to be knockout dragouts. Of course, the worst team, Delaware State. It's just nothing about Delaware State for me that I feel that's going to turn my head when it comes to this conference. When you look at teams like Howard, North Carolina Central, and South Carolina State. And then my wild card team. Is this any surprise to anybody?
No.
It's Norfolk State. They returned the most starters in the conference. And for me, last year, was speaking with Dawson Odoms, that team was young, full of freshmen and sophomores. They lost 7 games by 6 or 7 points or less. This team now comes back with the experience. And for me, I think they're the wild card team. I think they can surprise a lot of people and find themselves in a situation of maybe competing this year in 2024 for a MEAC championship.